Josh Martin, who is the person in the Barney suit. Give him a round of applause, please. And then next, we have, oh my gosh, you know him from your childhood. He was in Out of the Box, he was on Stomp. You know him as Tony James. And he is the voice of a lot of our toddler and childhoods. Please give it up to Bob West, the voice of Barney. Awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here today. How are you guys enjoying San Antonio so far?
Fantastic.
Love it.
Had a great time.
Thanks for having us.
Did you get to do the Riverwalk a little bit yet?
Yeah, I did first night. Yeah.
Yeah. it's interesting out there, especially at night. A lot of us San Antonio people know that. So, question for all three of you, and we'll start with Josh. But what is it like knowing that you were on a show that impacted so many generations of children? What is that like for you?
It's overwhelming. Like most weekends when I do this sort of thing and I meet people and they don't necessarily know that I wore the costume in addition to do voice from Dragon Ball Z, and boy, they share stories and let me know that they were watching and loved it and still love it, and it's amazing to be a part of it, really, seriously.
Absolutely.
And Tony, I mean, Out of the Box, my gosh. that's a whole big box in itself. What is it like for you?
It's amazing. It's wonderful. You know, it leaves me speechless oftentimes. You know, to hear the stories, to see how the show impacted people, and it's been on, you know, for so many years. Now they're all grown up, and they come and tell me things about how they are now teachers, they're art teachers, they are nurses, they're musicians, and it's really incredibly powerful, incredibly heartwarming. It's very moving. I don't want to break up right now.
And Bob?
Well, I mean, you know, for us on the show, it was on Barney and Friends. Of course, we started out on the Backyard Gang tapes, which was just this little tiny kind of mom and pop thing, right? And we had no idea what was going to happen with it, and that it would, you know, we'd go like international and all of that sort of thing. But the really great thing about it was getting out and meeting the fans. I mean, when Barney would show up, it was like, ladies and gentlemen, the Rolling Stones, you know, and this cheer would go up through this mall, and, you know, 6,000 people crammed into a mall, and where's the fire marshal when you need him, you know? So that kind of thing, to be able to generate that kind of love and that kind of joy, I mean, to think that I was part of that is just, you know, it keeps me going a lot of times. It really does. It's wonderful. And got so many great stories, people coming up to the table, you know, and some people come up to the table and they just burst into tears, you know, so that's, you know, it's just so powerful. It's super humbling. It really is.
The work all three of you did in your careers, you inspired so many children and to go in the directions that they felt, you know, they were being led to. So like you said, nurses, doctors, you know, people that are helping other people, because those were really like the concepts of your shows, was to inspire creativity and to help your fellow person. So I think a lot of us can say like thank you, and we appreciate that. I'm going to give them a round of applause real quick. So you both of your franchises had like super popular moments. Barney in particular had like a really crazy like commercial success on top of that with the toys. Do you remember what that was like when you saw parents fighting over Barney plushies?
It was surreal. You would walk into a Target store and it was just purple and green, literally everywhere. There would be like a big balloon arch, the Barney logo and stuff. And I mean the creators of the show, they admitted they probably over licensed a bit, you know, at some point, and there was a little bit of backlash on that. But you know, there were so many different things that were licensed that if you wanted to find a Barney whatever, it was out there. And it's, you know, I personally I'm not a big fan of consumerism myself, but to be associated with the show, there's like, you just have to kind of come to grips with that what the kids want, and the parents are just they're gonna do what they need to do to make their child happy, which is here's a weird story. I was on a flight one time, like going to New York or something, and the flight attendant says to me, "So what's that watch?" It was a Barney watch. And she said, "Did you work on the show?" And I said, "Yeah." And she asked all the right questions and figured out who I was. And then all of a sudden, like 3 minutes later, somebody shows up at my seat, and they're asking for an autograph. And pretty soon, after a few minutes, there's like a line of people on an airliner asking me for my autograph. And they're all parents, right? Because parents will do whatever, like they want to be that parent. They want to be the good parent. So, I mean, it's just so much fun with that stuff.
But not only that, I think a lot of us that have grown up to have kids, we watch the shows with our kids now. So for me, I don't know if anyone can relate. There's Miss Rachel's playing all the time in my house. So if I were to see Miss Rachel, I would absolutely get that for my daughter as well. So I can totally see where parents are going with that as well. What about you, Josh? Do you have any experiences about sort of the commercial boom that went with Barney?
Well, actually, I started in 1996, so the commercial boom was just exploding, right? I was part of that commercial boom because I got on the world tour, and that was part of their expansion into the world, right? They wanted to make a rock and roll stage show, and they did, and I got to be part of it. And I mean, we had flashlights and merchandise galore, and all of that got sold out at concerts. I mean, if you know anything about touring, that's where you make your money. Your ticket sales just pay for the building and everything else. Then you make your extra money on merch, and all of ours was gone every time.
Everybody hits the merch table.
It was amazing. It was wild.
That is wild, man.
And I was just a super small part of all of that, and I just watched it like a fly on the wall.
But these guys who did I was always kind of jealous of all the people who did the arena shows and stuff, because they travel together, and they have some of the best stories from the road. That it's like Kerry Stinson and doing his podcasts and talking about I love those stories, and I'm so jealous I didn't get to go. My voice got there, but I didn't go.
Speaking on the road, which makes me really curious, especially for Mr. Tony, how did we get from working with Cyndi Lauper and Stomp to getting to Out of the Box?
Oh, wow. How did we do that? So, let's see. I paid off a lot of people. No, that's not what happened. Well, it's pretty funny. So a lot of my background is as a session and touring musician, right? That's my formal training, and I'm in acting as well. But really, I got into Stomp. I had been touring for a number of years and working with different artists, and it was really kind of an interesting story. I'd gotten an opportunity to play with another artist, and it was sort of like, well, I've been kind of touring, I've been doing that thing, I've been on the road, which I love, but then the opportunity for Stomp came up in New York. And I thought, okay, this is something different. And I felt like, because it would require me to employ a lot of my other skills, it's just not just drumming, but sort of movement and acting and all that. So I thought it was a great opportunity. So it was like, you know what, I can do what I've been doing, touring, or I can take this opportunity to Stomp. And so I just decided to do that, and it was just absolutely wonderful, and I gained so much even as a musician, as an actor. It was a wonderful experience for me. I learned so much, and then, believe it or not, I mean, the story of how I got from that to Box is really interesting. I have to give credit to a very good friend of mine. His name is David Yazbek, and you might know him. He's a composer, a Broadway composer. He's a Tony-winning composer for the band's Visit, and he did the Full Monty, and he did all this stuff. Anyway, he actually had heard about this pilot they were doing for Box, and sort of knew some of the people and said, hey, they've already cast this pilot, but I think that you would be right for this character. And interestingly enough, I wasn't originally cast to be the host of the show. I was actually supposed to be the music guy. You'd come to the clubhouse. There was a third host, a sort of a guy who was more like a Steve from Blue's Clues kind of thing. And so, but they wanted to do like 5 minutes a day in the clubhouse of music with someone, and then 5 minutes with a character to do art. And the original character's name for Viv wasn't Viv, it was Darcy. And my name was supposed to be David. And so we shot the pilot, and another interesting note that a lot of people don't know is that in the original pilot for Box, we had a young actor, a child actor at the time. Her name is Hayden Panettiere. Do you know that name? She went on to do so many great things, but she was in the original pilot for Box. But as it goes, we shot the pilot, got picked up by Disney, they did some test marketing, and long story short, they said, well, we don't need 3 adults, and we'll use 2, and how would you and Viv like to be the host? And that's how it happened. Yeah, so.
So my question to you is, when did you do Stomp? What were the years?
I did Stomp. I was in the original American cast, 94, in
Yeah.
New York. Because, it originated with the Brits. And then they came to New York, and I joined that American cast
Because
in
I
94.
clearly saw you.
In New York?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
I think I have a playbill somewhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm sure it's in a box, and I thought, I just
Is that a-
realized
is that a
too
joke?
late. No, man, I was like...
In a box? Sorry.
See what he did?
See what I did?
Rim
Yeah.
shot.
Yes.
Yes. He's on it.
Yeah.
So
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I mean, it's like I think I've got one somewhere, and I thought I should find it.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it, but
Okay.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I gotta get this guy's autograph. Seriously, I love coming to these things because I fanboy.
Same here.
How did Barney start for you, Mr. Josh?
I had just graduated acting school in Dallas, Texas from KD Studio, and a teacher that worked there, she took care of me the whole time I was there, a young country boy from Louisiana. I'd never been away from home, and she'd write me a check from my student loan every once in a while and give so I could buy some food, eat. The mom away from home, and she called me. She paged me, actually. I was sleeping on Chris Rager's couch, and I rode my bike to the 7-Eleven to return the page, and she told me about the audition. And she told me to come to school, that's where she told me the audition. And I said, And she goes, what do you mean, And I was like, well, first of all, I'm almost 21, and have you seen
an old guy, right?
No, but have you seen our comedy troupe? I was in a comedy troupe, and we did blue humor. We would be canceled today, quickly, honestly. But point is, we were young and trying to get into the business, and that's how we were doing it, putting ourselves on stage. And I didn't think they would want me to begin with. And at 21, I'd never watched. I had no desire or need to watch. I had no siblings, and the only time I watched it was passing by it. And so she looked at me with this side eye and she goes, I think you need to do this.
Tell me,
Okay, fine.
you gotta name a name.
Sherry Taylor?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sherry Taylor. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I just graduated school. This is what you do, right? This is what you do as an actor, right?
Right, exactly.
You audition. I was like, okay, I'll go do it. We'll get done with this, and I can get on my way to SNL.
Right on.
And right before I went into the room, the Muppets song "Mana Mana." I'm not joking. Yeah, exactly. That's what happened to me.
It's a sign.
It went in my head, and a smile went on my face, and I just stayed smiling the whole time. The audition was to the theme song, "Act Like You Were Waving to the Audience," out of costume. And so I did. I left, and I thought, okay, I'm done with that. And I got a page before I got home.
Wow. That good.
I was like, what? And then she told me about the tour, and that it paid money, and it was
Real
a
money.
world tour, right? And I was seriously, I had no money and all that. So next thing you know, I got a call back. I did that call back, but I was totally out of shape, and I got out of the costume wheezing. And I thought, oh well, that was fun.
It's like 60 pounds, 65.
Yeah, it was 50 when I got in it, and I'd never done it. But I loved it though, because I'm a big Muppet fan. right? So all of a sudden, I'm in a giant Muppet. Not licensed. Anyway, but yeah, and so when I got out and I was wheezing, they said, okay, thank you. And then when I went home, I got a page 2 days later, and it was with my new agent. And she said, okay, they want to see you again, but there's 2 directives. They're going to send you a videotape of Radio City. You learn the first 5 minutes, and you're going to perform that for the last callback. And you got to lose 10 pounds and get in shape. And you got a week.
Yeah.
And a week?
A week.
You got to learn the 360, right, brother?
Yeah, and that was the thing. I put in the tape, and all I saw was Joyner go
Levitating.
But I took it to the school, and one of the movement teachers, one of the dancers, she deciphered it for me and told me, she was like, these are steps, bell kicks and, all that. So I did. I rode my bike from the apartment to school every day. I ate chicken and rice. I worked out at school. I learned the dance. And I went back and did it.
And you rocked it. You rocked it.
And then I just got to say this. At the end of my audition, I got out and I was not wheezing. They said, how you feeling? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good, thank you. And they go, okay, well, thank you. And they were smiling at me. I could tell that they were happy with my progress. And I walked out and I went, and remember, I love you.
Yeah. He is completely authorized by me to do this.
Thank you. Yeah, much respect to Bob. So that's how I did it, yeah.
That's awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and open up to anybody that has questions. You can line up at that mic right there. If anybody has any questions, just let me know. But until then, Bob, how did you find Barney as well?
How did I find Barney?
Yeah.
I thought it was a little bit piquant. I thought they could have added a little salt in the recipe. I'm sorry.
I don't think
that's a culinary joke. Okay. No, really. I did the audition thing too. It was like when I started, it was, a few years before that, I had done a walk around kind of body character costume thing for Humana Hospital, Medical City, Dallas. I don't know if you knew that I do that. I did this character called the Blaster. It was a robot character. Lots of foam, very sweaty, no air, just right up next to you. And we did safety talks and health talks and that sort of thing. And so the producers came to my agent and said, you have a guy who can do this character of this? I think we have the guy for you. So I did the audition, and it was great. I mean, we had a good time, but then when on the callback, I went to the callback and they said, hey, we've already started building the costume, which is kind of backwards. You're supposed to cast first and then build a costume around the performer. So I was too tall for it, which means that they split up the gig between me and another person, and that's how we got the 2 different performers. So David Voss was our first Barney, and then David Joyner, and we had Carrie Stinson and Josh and several other people now, I guess, on the road. But that whole thing was at the time it was just another audition, just this little video series, 3 videos, that was going to be it, which is still good, but who knows what's going on after that.
I got a question. As an actor, what was your direction on your audition? What
My
did they tell you?
direction?
Did they give you any art or?
Yeah, I think they had a sketch. It was like a really rough sketch of Barney. And they talked about, they just used some descriptive words to talk about his character. It's just a big dinosaur. He's really lovable and fun and that sort of thing. So, and the story goes that I actually did a voice that was pretty close to the PBS voice at the audition. And then they asked me later, when we started to do the Backyard Gang stuff, if I could pitch it down because they thought, oh, he's a big T-Rex. He should be, he should sound bigger. So, the original guy sounded more like this. Oh, hi, Tina. How are you? And of course, it was hard for me to maintain that because I'm more of a tenor or baritone, right? So I kept talking to the producers. It's like, this kind of maybe is a little threatening to some kids because it was kind of big. And sure enough, they realized that, they needed to pitch him up some more. So for PBS, that's how he came up.
Cool.
Yeah. And then, as Adam Baldwin says, we made them all high and goofy-like.
I don't know. It felt really like fatherly. Both of you. That's what it felt like to us.
Thanks.
So, well, we're about to wrap up here today, but they did want to treat you guys. Now you guys got to get clapping loud, 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 loud.
I'll be
Loud, keep it going.
Okay,
keep it
okay.
going.
Oh, this is great. All right. Well, see, I don't have a pumpkin with me today. You know what I can do? It's the old-fashioned, a little nod back to my stomp days. Actually, you guys know the rub, snap, clap, right? Right? You guys know it? You guys know the rub, snap, clap? It'll come back. Cole knows it. Cole knows it. Hey, and speaking of Cole, this is my first con. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you. And I want to thank Cole Blanchett for putting this on, him and his whole team, and for inviting me to be a part of it. And thank you, Cole. Thank you guys for showing up. Anyway, okay. So long, farewell to you, my friends. Goodbye for now, until we meet again. I said so long, farewell to you, my friends. Goodbye for now, until we meet again. It's been great to play and sing together in the box, but now it's time to say goodbye. So long, farewell to you, my friends. Goodbye for now, until we meet again. Goodbye for now, until we meet again.
Josh, you want to join me? Yes. You want to join me, brother? Everyone knows, right? You know it. You know it. You may know this. You may.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you gotta join us too. I have heard this song before, ladies and gentlemen. So if you do, please join us. All right. Everybody ready to sway and or grab the hand of the person next to you, and hugging is totally allowed. Okay? All right. Here we go. I love you, you love me. We're a happy family with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too? Yeah! Thanks everybody! You're stupendous!
Yeah!
All right, guys, give it up for them. Got Josh Martin, Tony James, Bob West. Thank you guys so much for being here. Of course, they'll be at their tables over there. Come see them. Thank you guys again. Give it up.